Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars are coming off a great Thursday night football victory and flying up to Pittsburgh in this Week 8 matchup to take on Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both teams coming off great wins, touchdown victories that came down to the wire, and I think both teams are starting to hit are sitting on the right cylinders here, especially Jacksonville. Jacksonville, watching that Thursday night football game, it came back. The Saints came back in, and it was tied at one point by the Christian Kirk and Trevor Lawrence connected for a long 44-yard touchdown. But in general, though, I just had the feeling, and I know the Saints were driving, and Foster Moreau almost scored that touchdown, but the Saints did all their production really in the last 10 minutes of that game. In general, it was a Jacksonville-dominated game, very well controlled, and being at home or being on the road at the Superdome can be very tough to play, so not surprising that the Saints were able to pick up some momentum late. But in general, though, I thought the Jags have been playing really well as of late. Pittsburgh coming off a big victory today against the Los Angeles Rams, 24-17. A little controversial. Maybe we'll get into that here a little bit, but hey, a win's a win. They are 4-2. They
should be 2-4 in reality.
They should be 1-5 at best, I think, actually.
Yeah.
And we could break that down. But hey, doesn't matter how you win. It's just if you win. But let's start with Jacksonville first here. What are your overall thoughts on Jacksonville up to this point?
They're legit. They had a rocky start, but they're a legit Super Bowl contender. They almost have that entire division locked up. Obviously not statistically, but like they're clearly the best team in that division. They're the only one I think that's above 500. I just think like they're clearly the best team. So they'll be having at least one home playoff game. I like their chances to potentially be competing for the 1 seed. So we'll just have to see. The loss to Kansas City will make that a little tough, I think, from the beginning of the year. But on the flip side of that, I feel the same way about Pittsburgh. I feel the complete opposite way about Pittsburgh because I feel like they should not be 4-2. They should be 2-4. This team is just not like this defense is really good, and this offense had a good like quarter and a half in the second half of the Rams game. Mm-hmm. And Kenny Pickett kind of came alive there. So did George Pickens. But
I still just really don't. Good fourth quarter. That's a theme. I guess on both things that we talked about is if the Jags don't want to have the fourth quarter they had defensively, and Pittsburgh wants to have like the rest of the quarters be like the fourth quarter.
Yeah, exactly. And so like that to me, I just think like talent wise, the Jags can go like one-on-one and probably be better. So I think this is a really interesting matchup. You look at the numbers, the Jags are one of the top offenses in the league, averaging 351 yards of offense a game. They are giving up about 365 a game, but I still think that this Steelers offense, they're going to make them really one-dimensional. This run defense for the Jags is really good. They're only giving up about 81 yards a game. And the Steelers are only averaging 80 yards of rushing a game. So I think this Jags defensive line will be able to feast up front. And not to get into predictions too early, I just think the Jags will kind of outclass them as the game goes on. So,
well, I will say when it comes to Steelers' perspective, having Deontay Johnson back definitely helped out a lot overall with his offense. I think it was good for him to rest a little bit and then coming off a bye as well, just to get that extra time. So I think that helped out the offense a lot because him and George Pickens both had really good days. Just in general, it's good to see him back. I think that helps out a lot, especially too as one of the biggest woes, and you've already mentioned it now, the offensive line just is still struggling to come together, and which is affecting the running game. So having another offensive weapon is huge, especially too going up against Jacksonville, which I think has just yards allowed per game, the second worst passing defense. Some of that could be said, though, is they have been leading a lot of these games, and so teams might not be running the ball nearly as much and throwing a lot more. So take that with kind of a grain of salt. I totally get that. But in general, though, I just have that feeling. Jacksonville, I feel, can play 4 quarters, especially now. They've seen it now. They've gotten into a good rhythm here, especially if you go and look at just their past couple of games, just some good matchups. I'd like a good 4-quarter victory honestly going all the way back to the Falcons game where they were in London. Good 4-quarter victory against one of the better defenses in the league. First international game as well. Then you stay in London and take care of business against Buffalo, shut down that run defense, that run offense, which isn't much to say. Great turnovers against the Colts. And then I know it was 31-24 victory over the Saints, but they were up a significant amount, I feel like, for a majority.
Yeah, they kind of took the foot off the pedal, I think, a little bit.
Well, but then that's what the Saints can do at the Superdome. I mean, the Superdome is just a crazy place to play. So to come out of there with a victory, huge momentum.
On a short week, Thursday night, it was a good win. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, and then now you're kind of a mini bye week going up into Pittsburgh here, and I just feel Trevor Lawrence and company are really starting to get into a rhythm. Cam Robinson, and we were actually mistaken. Cam Robinson's been back for a couple of games now, so I think he's really helped out the offensive line.
Yeah,
Travis Etienne is just an absolute monster. So it's a lot for this Pittsburgh defense, especially this defensive front, I think, to stop and to manage, especially after you get past the defensive line. That definitely is the weaknesses start to come in on that defensive side of the ball. So before we get into predictions, and I throw it over to Ryan, if you have not already and you're still with us here at this video, first off, thank you for watching. But also hit that like button, also subscribe to the channel, and help us reach our goal of getting to 2,000 subscribers. We would love to potentially get that by Halloween, which I mean, we got a couple, I think 2 more weeks of videos coming out by Halloween. So any help is much appreciated. Also, too, is the easiest way to get notified whenever we create new prediction videos. And Ryan, with all that being said, I think you kind of already alluded to this earlier, but who do you have winning this game?
I'm going with the Jags in this one. I just think they're the better team. They're more talented. They're coming off a mini bye. And I know it's in it's Acrisure Stadium, but it's Heinz Field. It will always be Heinz Field. So for me, I'm going with the Jags here. They're just the better team, in my opinion. With that being said, I could see the Steelers sneaking out a win. They've done that 2 or 3 times already this year, and we're only in week 8. So
Browns, Ravens, Rams, they're definitely sneaking out some good wins. If I want to put it that way. So I'm also going to go with Jacksonville. I'm very curious if both these teams play in the playoffs, which I think is very possible. I have the Steelers as coming in the season as a shoe in to at least be a wild card, one of the few teams, just with the way that they played in the preseason, how they played last year. Also, then too, just with Mike Tomlin as a coach. Up to this point, though, I feel like Jacksonville has been playing just more consistent ball. Yeah. While the Steelers can have some just fluctuating. Even then, too, you go look at this Ravens win, and I want to go back and just double check to make sure. But yeah, they scored 14 points in the 4th quarter, and it's like the Ravens let them win that game. I feel like, especially after getting out to a hot 10-0 start. So I think that there's still just some inconsistency. I think they rely on the 4th quarter too much. I feel like Jacksonville is just going to get out to a hot start. It's just going to be too much to overcome.
Yeah. No, I think so too. So let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.